Hello there. We're going to look at the OPEB, Other Post-Employment Benefit Excel Assignment. Boy, it's a mouthful. This goes along with Chapter 19. It's a real-world example of how I solved a problem that had to do with some real number crunching. Let's go ahead and find that. Let me share that while I talk about it. Let's see here. It would be under Content, Module 3. Scroll down to the bottom, Other Post-Employment Benefits Excel Assignment. I actually showed the solution there for you in the check figures in PDF form. Well, the PDF form for Excel solution, but also I've got some check figures here, Excel spreadsheet that we're going to copy to the OPEB assignment. So as you go by employee, you can figure out if you're doing this right. You're just going through 40 or so employees and find out you've done it wrong. Because the whole point of these Excel exercises is for you to learn how to use Excel to do something real world that you're learning the theory about in class. So it's really a good way to galvanize your learning. And it's meant to help your grade as well, because there's no excuse for not getting 100 on these exercises. There really isn't. So that's 5% of your grade. So you got those 3 Excel exercises. This one's probably going to take longer than the other 2. It will, much longer than the HR database, and still a little bit longer than the vacation exercise. But it's important to do this. And so that's 15% of your grade, and then you throw in the other 5% for your gap paper. So that's 20%. That's a test score, really. So if you fall down on one, this should bring it up. But again, the onus is on you to do this, and it's intended not for me to have to grade something. The intent for this is for you to actually learn. And I grade it because if I don't grade it, you won't do it, right? Well, some of you would, but okay. So let me download this OPEB assignment here. Let me download the check figures as well. All right, so let me open up this open this up. We've got 4 tabs here: an overview, staff profile, benefit calc, and CMS.gov. So what's going on here? Well, I say we, the company I worked for had an employee that they wanted to encourage to leave, if you know what I mean. And I don't know what all went on because I wasn't there at the time, but this person was 64 years old. They had 1 more year before, like 65 is when you can start getting Medicare. Obviously, $140 a month for medical insurance. Everybody goes on. So to encourage this person to leave, to quit their job because there's a lot of issues, they chose to pay this person's health insurance for 1 year. All right. I don't know how much it was, probably $6,000 or something that they paid this individual. And they thought all was well and good. But when the local CPA firm audited the books, because it has a lot of primarily state and federal funding, or federal flowing through the state funding, I guess some of it was directly from the federal as well. And state funding, you have to have your books audited, and that was something where they said, well, you can't just give one person a year's worth of health insurance and not offer that to other people that reach retirement age. And because of that, we had to develop the next year a calculation to determine what is the extent of the liability. Now this goes back, even though this is chapter 19, it's actually chapter 13 as well, because the question is, remember those terms? If it's probable and reasonably estimable, those 2 terms, you have to make a journal entry. You have to record a journal entry. Now, if it's what, reasonably possible, you don't. Only 1 year of this is actually going to be what was recorded as a journal entry. The rest of it is just stuff that's going to be put into the notes to the financial statements as a potential liability. But because it wasn't probable, it wasn't remote, if it was remote, you wouldn't even do that. since it was possible, we had to put it in our notes, but we only did the accrual for 1 year. Keep that in mind, because that's going to be part of what you have to turn in as to why you made the journal entry that you made. Very simple. So the whole point of this is you've got all these employees working for you. You don't know when they're going to retire. You know they can retire after 20 years of service, and you have to be at least 55 years old. So all that has to be factored in. You don't have to worry about that part, because all that heavy lifting's already been done. All you have to be concerned with is a year-to-year change to this and what it means to your accrual. So you have to make some assumptions that our local CPA firm signed off on, that we assume that somebody would retire in the middle of the window once they reached that 20-year threshold, and they had to be 55 between then and the time they were 65. And how much does 1 year's worth of health insurance coverage mean for that person if you're going to pay them like a bonus? That's what we're trying to do here. So if you read down through here, there's a lot of stuff in here. It talks about what I just said, 20 years of service. The monthly medical premium, which is in yellow, $750, is important. We're going to plug that in. We're going to start by going all the way out to the far right, cms.gov, and we're going to find what does the Medicare website say about future healthcare costs. All right. Which is, from that point, there's only 10 years. What are you going to do beyond that? That's where we're going to do an average. You'll see as we go through this. The questions for you once you get this done are question A, B, C, and D. A, what's the total obligation? Which you had to check figure for that. So that's given. What's the journal entry to be recorded? Only the first year. And then the question is, what's the journal entry? Well, it's just like going back to chapter 13. What are you making a journal entry for there? You're making an accrual, aren't you? And I'm going to be open-minded as far as what account titles you use for, as long as you get the right one, right? Right category. Whether it's an asset, liability, equity, expense, or revenue, right? One of those five. Which is the debit, which is the credit. That's what B. C is the remainder. Whatever you don't make in B is, C is going to be what? A minus B. And D is Y. Well, I just told you the reason. You want to go back and listen to what I just said, right? About chapter 13, about probable and reasonably estimable. All right. So let's start this thing by going all the way out to the far right. And what you see here is an actual Medicare table, copy and paste from this particular website. So you want to go up here where it says, and I've got to click on the website above, see table 3 from the zip file, and I'm not sure what all I got under there. Let's just click on here first, because what we're trying to find is in this table 3, private health insurance, right down here at the bottom. We want to populate that. All right, so let's go back up here and find this table. Hopefully it'll let me open it. There it is. Well, that's quick. Guess nobody's here at the university except for me using this. Okay, we want to click on this Medicare and Medicaid website, government website, these projections. Open. There it is. Zip file, 17 files. You want to click on 3. I think that's what I said. Table 3. Enable editing. We want to go down to the bottom. Used to be, this was in a PDF, but this is in Excel now. So you want to go down to the bottom. I don't forget which one of these is private health insurance. All right, private health insurance. Go down to the bottom, and you want to copy, highlight and copy, 2018 through 2027. So right click, copy, and come over to there. I guess you could link this, but just copy and paste. Then right click, values. All right. So now, what's next? We finished CMS.gov. We're going to go to benefit calc. Your screen sharing is paused. Where did I pause it? I can't tell if you can see this or not. All right, let me go back and see. All right, table 3 is what I clicked on. There's table 3 that I copied from. I don't need that anymore. All right, it's sharing. All right, so hopefully you saw me actually copy that from table 3 to that. I think you can read between the lines if you didn't see me copy and paste. You're just copying from Medicare to this, because this is what they do. They extrapolate what future healthcare costs are going to do. All right, then we're going to benefit calc. And what's going on there? Remember back on the overview where I said we're going to use $750? Well, that's where you plug in $750. We are going to leave the expected increase 0 there. And so now we want to link, which is part of this exercise, is linking tabs together, which I'm sure you've already done. We're going to do equal to CMS.gov, which is that cell divided by 100, because that's percentage. We want that in a number that we can actually do a calculation with. Then we can just copy this all the way down to 27, right click, paste. Then that's where Medicare ends, right? They don't give you information beyond 2027, so what are we going to do? We're going to do an average. So equal to average of those 10 years, and that says 4.83. Now we want to copy that all the way down, but we don't want a rolling 10-year average, because if I do that, what's going to happen? If I just copy this down, it's going to change. They're all going to change. All right, so we don't want to do that. We want to actually copy this stationary. We've been doing this before, right? So B5, put a $sign in front of the 5, and a $sign in front of the 14. That says keep 5 to 14 the same. Then we want to copy that all the way down to the bottom, because we want 0.0483 in every one of these. All right, so now you're done. I know 4.83 is correct. I can remember that from last semester. So that brings us really to the heavy lifting, as I like to call it. What do we got going on here? Well, we've already done a download. Here we've got from 7 through 52, we got 45 people here with their date of birth, their hire date, because we need date of birth based on being 55, and their hire date for the knowing when they've got 20 years in. You don't have to worry about that because it's already been done for you. But what you're doing here, and the first two have already been performed for you correctly, I think. We'll find out. But what I want you to do next is actually copy the check figures over from the other file, which I probably have lost. I'll have to go back out there and find it. Yeah. So if I go back to new share, check figures, down there it is, check figures. All right, so there's my check figures file. I want to copy from check figure all the way down to the bottom, which tells you what the answer is, right, for the total potential exposure. It's not the total liability, it's the total potential exposure. And let me go back and find my other file again, wherever it is. And you just want to right-click, paste values. Well, why don't we just, I put that in the wrong place. Hit your reverse key up here, upper left. Right-click, there we go. So that lays it out side by side with what your number should be. You also need to do a variance. You can do equal to this column minus that column. So when we go all the way to the bottom, you'll be able to see if you've got an error. And you will get some errors there because this is kind of tedious what you have to do. All right, so the first two are correct. The next thing you want to do is actually copy that one, all the way to the bottom. So you don't have to do all this calculation yourself. See, it's already been done for you. When you see that and you think, well, I get down here so far now I see values. Values are there because it's no longer relevant. They're not a part of this process, because this process is going to end in 2050. I did need to actually copy that column down because you're going to have to do that manually. So I'm going to clear that. All right, so now we're ready to see what in the world is going on here. How are we going to calculate this potential liability? Well, look at the first one here. This person, by the system, says they could retire on April 3rd, 2020. April 3rd, 2020. Their insurance is paid by the company through April. If you're there at the first day of the month, it's paid through the end of the month. All right, so this person potentially could retire on May 1 of 2020. That's when you have to account for this, and this is a couple years old. You need to account for a potential payout on May 1st of 2020, monthly for the next 12 months. What makes this unique, again, kind of goes back to that vacation exercise. You remember when I said the fiscal year was March 31st? Well, this fiscal year for this company is June 30th. Like ETSU is June 30th. Most state agencies are June 30th. Federal government, I think, is September 30th. Clothing stores, a lot of those, their fiscal year end is the end of January or the end of February. They pick the slowest time of the year. Battery manufacturing is March 31st because that's the slowest time of year to sell a battery. This company is June 30th. So what's unique about this is that the fiscal year ends on June 30th. Well, people don't just retire at June 30th and then you get paid in one fiscal year. All but maybe one or two of these are going to be split among 2 fiscal years. So look at this first one, May 1st. So May 1st and the fiscal year ended June 30th, they've got 2 months left, don't they? So we want to do equal to 2 times in FY20 and then go to benefit calc for FY20 and click on that cell, which is $896.25 a month, to get that. Then you want to do equal to 10 because it's got to equal 12. So there's 2 months in 2020, 10 months in 2021 times 2021 right there and hit enter. All right, when you come out here to the end, employee total, we're going to pay that employee potential $11,302.50. Check figure matches, our variance is 0. We're good. 1 down, 20 or so to go. The next one's the same way. A little bit different though, but look at this one. This person could retire on 7/1, but their insurance has been paid through the end of July, so they've got 11 months in 2022, right? June 30th of 2021 is gone. They got 11 months in 2022 and 1 month in 2023. All right, so every one of these you have to actually put in the retirement date. Or here's a good one because they could retire on June 18th, so that's one that actually will be 12 in 1 year, right? So that one we need to do what? Equal to 12 times, we've got to find 2024. Let's see if that's right. Yep. See how easy that is? There you go. Again, when you get done, you're going to make an accrual for the first year, and right there it is. I'm not going to tell you the answer. You're going to make an accrual for that. And the rest of it is just because that's probable and reasonably estimable. But the rest of it is there ain't no way we're going to pay out over $500,000 for something that nobody took into consideration when they came up with this plan to pay this person to get them to leave, right? That's what happens when non-financial people make financial decisions. So the next year after I was there, we passed a board resolution to do away with this, and everybody's fine with that. So it's gone. They don't have to do this anymore. But we had to do it for a couple of years. But this is a solution to make something a lot easier than it would be if you just used a legal pad or calculator or something like that. I mean, this can be made even simpler. I had somebody one year actually come up with a way to come up with the same formula in every one of these cells here, the same formula. Excel has the commands to do that. You just have to know how to use it. It's like a programming language, but that can be done. That makes it even easier. But you don't have to worry about that. Just do what I've showed you here and it'll be good. So if you have any questions, feel free to email me. Turn it in by the due date in D2L, and be a good way to get another 100 worth 5% of your score. Again, take advantage of that. Don't not do it. I mean, it can count against you as well. I've had people had to repeat the course where they didn't turn in assignments. They thought, well, I'm not going to bother doing that 5-pointer or this 5-pointer. Maybe I'll do well on the exams, but there's always people who wish they had done it. So good way to pull up your grade as well. All right. Stop sharing this and hope you're doing well, and we'll talk again soon.